In the meantime, there's basically not much wrestling going on. So,
Yeah, what the hell?
right,
Yeah.
this is like a dead period. You got the Soldier Salute and the Midlands. What did you guys watch any of that stuff?
I did not.
I watched both of them.
How was the coverage for Midlands? Was it just like track?
It
Like
was, yeah, it wasn't very good at all.
it wasn't like
No, nobody talking, nobody commenting
okay, so it was
until
just
and then the finals of the Midlands used to be on the Big Ten Network. They had on Big Ten Plus. The Soldier Salute, they did a much better job.
yeah.
They, they had Tim Johnson and what's his name,
Shane Sparks.
Shane Sparks, yeah, and they did multi mats and stuff, and it was good.
Interesting.
Where
Yeah, I was
they run
curious.
that at?
What they rent
What's
the
that?
in
What's that?
Coralville at the Extreme Center.
Okay.
That's the place they run basically the Donnybrook and all sorts of other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
It's a
it's
big
good. It's a good
venue.
facility.
Yeah. It's kind of, I mean, it's like a 5,000 or less seat facility, right?
Yeah, probably I'd say between 5,000 and 6. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then standing room, and they got nice what do you call it, where you can rent a booth and stuff, and
Oh, suites.
yeah, suites. They got some cool suites. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a cool arena to be in. Yeah, when I was at obviously the Midlands, it was a cool arena as well. It's just it's like it's
Was there
empty.
anybody there?
Well, I went the first session, so I don't know if you can fully
Was there
count that,
anybody there?
but yeah, there was not many people there.
I know Danny Martinez went the second day, and he said it was about $100 for him and his son after
To get
paying
in?
for parking, tickets to get in, and something else. He goes, it's $100 just to get into the door, basically, almost.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't say the same because I got the pass. So
Yeah.
working on our
Well,
credential experience for Big Ten net for the Big Ten. You know,
well, that'll be held on campus, though, right?
It will be.
yeah,
Which should be better. I mean, I think you go out to the Now Arena, and now they got charges that
yeah, it might be better, but I would say it's probably still going to be comparable. I think the challenge this at the tournament, I mean, they probably overcharge based on the number of people are coming too. I mean, I don't really know if they like think about that, like, well, we're not going to sell out, so increase this price or whatever. But it looked like the Midlands has turned into a red shirt open tournament. Um,
yeah.
there's obviously some starters that Pitt brought some of their starters. I think not if not all of their starters. Reese Heller 184. He won it. He's been wrestling really well. I think he's going to be um, like in the hunt All American status for sure. He's a good wrestler, but for the most part, it was just underclassmen. I got
That was
this.
cool for Heller though, because he's from Barrington.
Yeah.
He
Well,
won the
he's from
right there.
Deerfield.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Deerfield originally, right?
Yeah. I got to coach him and his brother's year when he was at Montini. He came out to out that way. But yeah, he's from Deerfield, and yeah. But then I got to see Ben Davino wrestle. Got to see a lot of the Illini guys, Tony Alvarado wrestle. Um, yeah, I mean, I got to see a lot of people wrestle that was nice to watch.
Yeah.
But as far as the event itself, it kind of seemed pretty, you know,
Lackluster.
yeah, it was just really felt like an open tournament. I felt like they could have ran it at the Loris, at Loris or something
What are you
like.
saying?
Well, that Loris tournament.
Yeah, the open tournament. It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it felt like that, right? Like there's matches going on, but there's nothing else kind of happening. So
There's no exciting matches. They're just matches.
yeah.
You
But
know what? Getting back to the Big Tens, though, it'll be interesting what it's like in that field house at Northwestern because you got to throw 4 mats on that floor, and it's kind of tight. And I think they're just going to sell that place out big time.
Oh yeah.
now is that a new field house? Like, isn't it?
No, they
being...
redid it. They
Right.
redid it, but it's not quite the floor space. They put more stands in because it's more basketball friendly.
I see. Well, so you're saying that it's still going to be tight. That would be interesting to see then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Marty, tell us about Soldier Salute. I mean, that's your stomping grounds.
I live in Illinois. No, it was good. You know what though? It was all talking about 174 Nelson brands and
Yeah.
who was the other kid?
Gabe Arnold.
No, he's at 84.
Oh.
Gabe Arnold and Ferrari or Ferrero,
Yeah.
pronounce it.
Oh, Patrick Kennedy.
Yeah, and Patrick Kennedy. Yeah, well, Nelson Brands didn't even wrestle in the tournament, and then Gabe Arnold medically forfeited out of the finals, so you didn't get to see any of it.
Yeah.
But,
Which again is kind of like, what are we doing here? I kind of understand the fact that they want to do whatever wrestle offs on their own, but it's like, I mean, why aren't they wrestling at their own tournament? Like,
right.
I feel like they should give the people money back that went to the Soldier Salute.
Just for the finals.
I mean, really? Like, what are you saying? Like, if you imagine if you got a concert ticket and you went to the concert ticket and she's like, we're not going to play the last 5 songs. It's like, well, no, you don't play. You play the last 5 songs.
Speaking of that, did you see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last night at all?
No, I did
not.
not.
Oh my God. Peter Frampton, his album Frampton Come Alive back in the 80s.
He's still alive?
Yeah, and he has a muscular dystrophy type of thing, a muscle problem where he can't stand. That dude just ripped the guitar apart. He was unbelievable. Yeah. Sorry about switching places, but there's guys like Diane Warwick. She's 84 years old, and she was unbelievable. Just out of this. Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I saw Neil Young in concert. I mean, he's got to be upper 70s, and he was phenomenal. All over the stage, put on a show.
Guys, I don't think the demographic is really aware of anybody that you're talking about.
Yes, they are. Oh, I'm
sure they're out there.
Oh, look up Peter Frampton. Frampton Comes Alive. His album. It just blew away everybody's albums back in the 80s. All right, let's get back to wrestling.
All right.
Hey, I'm going to give a shout out. We went to the Hananiga Beginners Tournament.
Yep.
And, Luke Fickle was there and Jonathan Reeder. Luke Fickle, the head football coach at Wisconsin was there with his kids, and John Reeder was there with his kids.
Yeah, that's because they had some time on their hands because they didn't get to a bowl game.
Well, still there. Big Tone was pretty happy. I talked to him. He said, "You got to give us a shout out." And I go, "I'll give you a good shout out." Good tournament. I got to shake Luke Fickle's hand. I mean, he's a tall dude, but
was that did you go to the beginner tournament or the?
I went. We went. I took my little guy on Saturday. We didn't go back Sunday.
Yeah, I went on Sunday.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool though that they did 2 days in a row. That's good that they
had. They only had 100 and so on Saturday for the beginners. It was quick, which is nice. And they ran full mats because they didn't have that many. They could probably, as big as that field house is, they could throw down a couple mats and probably run it all in one day. Beginners on one side and everything else.
They could.
I didn't. I've been in there a couple times, but walking in and seeing it was the 6 mats on the floor and still a partition down and more room. It's like, hey,
another whole basketball court on the other side.
Yeah, let's get the Midlands out there.
Right, exactly.
The Midlands.
As long as I don't have to do anything for it.
Yeah, I guess that's always the trouble. You grow, and then you need more volunteers.
Actually, so they had the beginners tournament, and then we had for the regular wrestlers. But then the next day was Rockford East tournament.
Yeah.
So they had 3 little tournaments in a row in the area to go to.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That was a good weekend for kids clubs around here.
Yeah, that was. Gene Lee was there. He did a great job running the show.
Did you? You're saying he helped run the
he came out. He ran it for the Belvedere Kids Tournament as well. Gene and Chauncey are like the track masters,
they are.
They've been with it since it developed. I think so.
Yeah, I was there in the very beginning with Justin. And, well, cool. It's a busy weekend. Yeah, it's always nice when the youth programs have tournaments close by, as opposed to having to drive too far. They're just trying to get matches. But yeah, let's go back to that soldier salute. I really want to hear you guys' perspective on that. Like, I mean, what do you guys really think about the fact that those guys are forfeiting?
I don't know. Yeah, why publicize it, right?
Why enter the tournament? Why enter
What?
the
Yeah,
why enter the tournament?
why even enter the tournament? Yep.
Yeah.
Just do your
And
wrestling
Brands,
in your room.
Brands had nothing to say afterwards. He said it's a private matter.
Yep.
But
Like,
it's, I mean, it's not. This is the funny thing is like stuff like that just makes me happy that Penn State's going to beat them anyways, and now I'm hoping that Oklahoma State beats them. It's like you're not helping any type of. I mean, it's not a public matter. We're it's a game that we're
It's
all
an
playing.
entertainment.
Yeah, we're all trying to watch wrestling, and here you
Right.
are holding like it's not going to matter, Tom. You're going to lose the nationals. Okay, do you want to get it out of the way now? Just give the trophy to somebody other than you. That is kind of frustrating that I would be so irritated if I went to that tournament and paid to go watch and then like you're getting ready to you might as well have forfeited the semifinal match so that you could wrestle somebody else.
exactly.
Here's my take on it. How old are you, Dalton?
37.
Okay, and Brands are like 50. Why don't we have a fundraiser? You two guys wrestle each other.
You don't want any of this.
What?
He doesn't want any of this. I'm in my prime.
He's too dumb not to be in his prime, or too crazy, not too
No,
dumb.
you want to hear a funny story about Tom Brands and myself. I went up to the Wisconsin. There was a Wisconsin tournament or Wisconsin camp for Hananiga. I was coaching on the staff, so it was up at the Wolf Lodge or something like that. I don't know. It was a big team camp. There was like 12 other team, a whole bunch of people in there. Anyways, they were supposed to have Randy Lewis come to the camp, but Randy Lewis last minute or somebody couldn't come. So Tom Brands came. Well, who was Tom Brands' practice partner for the hour of technique demonstration? I was. And it was a blast because obviously I grew up, loving watching the Brands brothers, and Tom Brands was somebody who I looked up to, and he just beat the crap out of me for an hour in front of everybody. It was so much fun. So,
Randy Lewis probably couldn't do it because he's physically not able to.
Yeah, I think something about somebody didn't plan it in their schedule very, very well. But yeah, I mean, I just think that it doesn't make any sense that you have a tournament. I mean, it's like we're sitting around. There's nothing going on. There's no wrestling, and I just don't understand what the season is for at this moment in the season when nothing's really happening. It's like,
I don't get it either. I mean, you publicize, you talk about the wrestle offs. People are there to watch it. I mean, it just wrestle. Wrestle.
Well, and Iowa they've had public wrestle offs forever.
Yeah.
So
I used to go in all the time.
Yeah. So why not just this be a public wrestle off?
Yeah, make it the match.
And you want to talk about spectacle? Say Gabe Arnold wrestles and he loses to Ferrari. Say Patrick Kennedy wrestles and Nelson. Did they wrestle or did
no? He wasn't in the tournament at all.
Okay, yeah. But say Ferrari beats Gabe Arnold, and now we got all right. There you go. That's a better conversation than they didn't wrestle.
But if you look at it team wise, you're never going to get a major out of Gabe Arnold or Nelson Brands. The two other guys are freaking Patrick Kennedy. And they put points on the board.
Yeah.
So who do you think?
Brands is a 3-point match, and that's a major for him.
Yeah.
So who do you think? What do you think the final lineup is going to look like at 65 or 74 and 84?
I think it's going to be Brands and Arnold. I think that's why they didn't wrestle, so that later down the line he can just say, "Hey, we made a decision, and no one saw Ferrari beat Arnold." And I think Brands is the guy, just because of last name.
So then Patrick Kennedy's gone. He's done, right?
Does he have another year?
No.
No?
No, and neither does Nelson Brands. They're both like at that.
Well, Brands, should have been done last year, but
right.
Missed it with the gambling, and they granted him another, but
you almost have to wrestle those two off if this is their final year.
But kind of like what you said, like not all
yeah.
wrestle offs are based upon the matchup, the head-to-head matchup. Like sometimes they put them in tournaments to see who can score the most points. I got a camera going crazy. Sometimes it's not about just straight up matchup, because if Patrick Kennedy and Nelson Brands go wrestle 100 times, they might go 50-50. But Patrick Kennedy is dominating his opponents.
Yeah.
And it just seems like in traditional years, if it wasn't Nelson Brands, they would have come out and just said, look at Patrick Kennedy wrestle. He's our guy.
Yeah.
But they're not doing that. So
same thing with the Ferraro kids. Is that pronouncing that right? Is it Ferraro?
Ferrari. Like the car.
Okay, so him too, though. He's a freaking puts points on the boards. Gabe Arnold does not.
Yeah.
And I like Gabe. I like both. I mean, all four of them. But if you're looking at them in a dual meet, ooh.
So from the Iowa faithful, do you think that the Iowa fans are like okay with it, or what do they want to see? Because I'm not necessarily inside that circle. I wonder, are they like, what's happening, or are they like, oh, Tom Brand's got to figure it out or something like that?
Yeah, I'm not inside the circle anymore. But how would you not, as a fan? I mean, I am a fan, but it's just like wrestle them off. Just find who's the best person.
Let everyone see it.
Yeah, that's the great thing. That's a great thing about wrestling. You don't have to put it on the coach doesn't have to put it and say, I'm going to choose. No, wrestle them off. Then the pressure's off. The pressure's off of Brands. Like, it is what it is.
Yep.
I mean, I'm telling you that Kennedy is going to would be an All-American.
Oh yeah.
And so probably would Brands, because he was before. And Ferrari
but
Gabe Arnold. I don't know if Gabe Arnold would be.
I would put more stock in Kennedy being an All-American than Brands.
The dude just never stops.
I mean, yeah. Like Nelson is, I don't know. He's in too many close matches.
Yeah.
That bad things happen. Kennedy, either it's going to get beat outright, or he's going to make sure that he's taking care of things, you know?
Well, either way, I feel bad. I mean, if for whatever reason Patrick Kennedy doesn't get the nod and he kind of
he's been great in the media.
Yeah.
People have asked him, why don't you transfer? Why don't you transfer?
Yeah.
I will never transfer.
Yeah.
I mean, I belong. He's been so good to the program.
Sure, but
at the end of the day, I think he walked into the season probably knowing that he might not be the guy. So it's not like,
yeah, but again, people
out the guy this year.
Yeah, I mean, I would be interested to talk to the guy in 10 years if he's not the starter this year. See how he felt.
I'd rather just talk to him right in the season.
No, yeah, but you know what I'm saying. In the moment, you're a young kid. You almost like would go to war for some of these guys, and then 10 years down the road, you're on your next venture. You look back on it and be like, why did I just do that? Like he totally, there's politics involved, and sure that it's in the moment, it's easy to be like, oh, I'm here for the team. I'll do whatever Coach Brand says. But then when you get down the road, you go, well, Tom Brands wasn't looking out for the best interest of me. He played his game as a coach to make his lineup. Yeah, this is one of those situations, Marty. I just wish both of them could just wrestle and we wouldn't have to.
Right.
I wish two guys from Iowa could wrestle at the national tournament at 174 pounds. That'd be great.
They should have wrestled at Soldier Salute. It would have been all settled up.
I mean, I agree for that.
Ago, they had Ayala wrestle Lee.
Yeah, but that was again. Well, I guess maybe that was more Spencer Lee's decision to wrestle. Maybe Nelson Brands didn't want to wrestle.
Well, then you're not the starter then.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I didn't realize the competitors can run the show.
Well, I do believe, if I remember correctly, the story about. I think I heard the story about him wrestling Ayala, and they basically asked him if they wanted to wrestle, and Ayala said yes. And Spencer Lee, I guess, said, okay, you want to wrestle? All right. And then, he kind of did the little big brother thing to him and said, don't ever tell anybody you want to wrestle me off again, basically.
That was great, though.
That
Yeah, I
was,
mean,
yeah.
that's why. I mean, that's what a Division One wrestling room is kind of supposed to
Yeah.
be like, and that's like this situation is quite interesting because it doesn't seem like it's showing that to be the case.
Could it
You
be
know,
that one of them has the name's brands?
yeah. I mean, well,
But
and
it
don't
just,
forget about the Arnold Ferrari match, though.
like,
I
yeah,
know.
here's my question there is like, if you're Gabe Arnold, right? And you walk back into the room come Monday and, well, coaches told me I had to, well, you don't get to make a decision. I'm guessing the coaches have final say, but now if you're Ferrari, I think you just got a leg up on them in the room.
Yeah. Well, they're definitely wrestling in the room. I mean,
Keep them
they're
separate.
no. I mean, they might stay separate and drilling if they don't like drilling with each other or something like that, but they're probably finding their way to live goes for sure.
Oh, I bet you there's a few pans flying in the wrestling room.
Well, that's happening in every
Closed
wrestling room.
pans.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's too bad. It
It's
was. I
not
mean,
good for the sport.
I'm all fired up for it. I'm like, all right. I mean, I knew Nelson Brands wasn't wrestling because from the beginning he didn't.
Right.
But Arnold and Ferrari wrestled all the way
You
through.
can't. Here's the thing, and it's bad for Iowa. It's bad for the sport overall.
It is.
Flow is building it up. Hey, you got this showdown, blah blah
Yeah.
blah, and bam.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
no.
again, it's no different than what we've talked about with local high school stuff. Like, if there's a duel where two teams aren't kind of, competitive, and there's two, top ranked kids at two weight classes next to each other, you got to figure out how to make that match happen. And if the kid doesn't want to wrestle the best kid, it's like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, put on, that's what we do this for. I think that's what wrestling is, uniquely different, is it's always for the challenge, and the spectator loves the challenge. And so if you don't put the challenge in front of the spectator, we're not really like engaged with wrestling. There's
Yeah.
not as much other stuff that goes on. So I feel like the UFC does a really good job of making sure the best compete against each other at all times. And right now, wrestling, we're all talking about how to grow the sport, do this, but you, our product is the best kids wrestling each other so that we can watch it as much as we can. And a lot of people are just avoiding that, whether it's at Vegas or Soldier Salute, or just sending the backups to
Well, just
Midlands.
I mean, even in duels, holding guys out because
Right.
seeding for a tournament, for the
Shit,
conference.
they don't wrestle like they used to anyhow.
No.
I mean, I was just saying, I was just coming to my head. I just looked at ESPN Plus and Big Ten Plus. I'm like, oh, somebody's got to make some Big Ten schools got to be wrestling this next week or so. There's nobody, but guess who's wrestling? The Pokes are.
The Pokes.
They're wrestling Air Force Academy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Confident.
I mean, those kids are wrestling. You got to.
Yeah.
I mean, this 3-week period now almost is what it is a long time.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, let's not like put all the let's not just take out on Iowa this week, because I did look
I
in.
brought up the Pokes.
No, but I was saying Penn State, I don't even think has one tournament on their schedule.
Well, they got a bunch of guys going to the Southern Scuffle.
They do?
Yeah, but not starters.
No starters. Yeah, I don't think they've wrestled in any tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. When I looked at their lineup, when I looked at their schedule, it didn't look like they had any tournaments on the schedule.
I'm telling you that you've got to have multiple day weigh-ins, and you got to have multiple day matches where kids have to wrestle on the second or third day when they're sore as hell.
It's tough to question Cale's logic right now. So
Yeah.
I mean, what he's doing seems to be working.
Yeah, but that, you know what? True, but he also has the best in the country. That everybody wants to go there, but you need to wrestle.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, it's easy.
Some of those guys are 35, 40 years old in that lineup. They need some rest downtime.
Yeah, that is true. I will give them, gets a little harder to do. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why they're not figuring out how to wrestle. I think you got to, like, it's almost like you have to devalue the NCAA tournament enough where we can value the ongoing tournaments. This is why I think the profit share type thing could be so helpful, is like, if money's going to be in sports and it's going to be in college sports, like, how can we use it to motivate people to participate in a constant way, right? Does this make any sense to you guys? Like, the value of the NCAA tournament is so high that people are doing whatever it takes just to be primed and ready for the NCAA tournament. So if you don't devalue it in some capacity or require people to value the other things in order to get to the national tournament, you're going to see people kind of protect their bodies, protect their match counts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't see why like the NCAA doesn't like say, hey, you all have to wrestle in at least one tournament during the season. Like the Cliff Keen. Okay, we're going to do the Cliff Keen.
Right.
And then we'll bring the Midlands back and turn the Midlands around and try to get that going. And then something maybe a little bit on the East Coast or whatever. And you have 3 choices on multiple, not the same time you can wrestle, but wrestle in a tournament, a 2-day tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Big Ten, yeah, you get to the Big Ten, that's 2 days. But there's nothing like the NCAA tournament when you got 3-day weigh-ins and
3-day, yeah.
Yeah, and they're all beat to hell.
Yeah,
but I mean, yeah, you got to have them ready.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like, I think if the NCAA, I think the conferences would be better off doing it just so that they could, couldn't the conferences, I mean, they already make the dual schedule, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
anymore, you look at some of these guys coming into the NCAA tournament, 10, 15 matches total, maybe.
Right.
Long gone are those guys who
and that's including their
matches.
That's including their conference tournaments because they have to qualify.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you got to have 5 matches maybe, or 3 something. There is a limit.
Yeah.
To be eligible for a wild card if you don't qualify.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, it would be interesting to see what the solutions are. Maybe we'll have to revisit this with some
knowledge.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't have any knowledge.
Yeah.
You look, and I just read where Keegan O'Toole's out all of January.
Shit, that Elm kid, they're just decimated, Missouri.
Yeah, he's done for the Rocky Elam's done, and now they're sitting O'Toole. So he comes back for just about in time for the Big 12, right?
Yeah. They're hoping he's back.
I mean,
wrestling is challenging. That's why it's complicated to not like empathize with why people are I mean, the body is very delicate, and but football players manage to do it, and they're hitting each other pretty hard.
Right. And they seem to do it really well back in the 80s and 90s too, and wrestle 45 matches. I mean, you're right. I mean, look at football. It is just crazy, crazy. And
bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the size of some of the linebackers in the NFL, and they were linemen.
Well, here's another concept that maybe
2 years ago.
But here's one thing that I would give us wrestlers a advantage, or some more leeway. Like, if you go to a football practice on a Monday or a Tuesday, it's not that hard. If you go to a wrestling practice at Division I on Monday or Tuesday,
it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So the challenge is
walkthroughs.
So the challenge is, could you reevaluate how we practiced and trained on a regular basis to make sure that we were ready to go more often? Is that even possible? What do you think? Because I guess you'd have to modify. I mean, Keegan O'Toole's a tough kid, and if he's hurt, he's hurt,
But who says where he got hurt? He might have got hurt in the rest of them just drilling.
I know that's kind of what I'm saying is you kind of have to figure out how to manage your body.
The problem is if you don't go through it in the practice room, then you're not ready for it when it happens in the match.
You can't pull the reins back. I agree with you, Dan. You got to be. I mean, you can taper it down towards the end of the year a little bit and stuff like that. But it's a mind game too. Those guys got to think like, I've worked harder than anybody else. Nobody's gonna beat me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens in the coming years because I know it's it seems inevitable. This conversation around matches and match limits and ducking and forfeits and stuff continues so much. And if there's going to be a financial component to tournaments and dual meets and all that stuff, I think you're going to have to start seeing super lineups get out there so people come watch them. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Maybe put a mandate in on how many matches you have to have.
Yeah.
You're like Dan, you're saying 3 or 5. Maybe
Yeah.
it needs to be up to like 12.
Yeah, I like some type of mandate like that.
Yeah, if you don't wrestle 12, 15 matches, then unless you're medically hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
I truly like the idea of mandating going to a tournament, or at least multiple tournaments in a time spot, because obviously the closer you get to January, the harder it is, right?
Right.
The January schedule is just fucking dual meets in the Big Ten, which are brutal. And then at the end, you basically have the Big Ten tournament and then nationals. So it is brutal couple months after this. But before that, I think it's so feasible to get a tournament set up. Whoever hosts it, maybe if it is just Big Ten schools host a tournament, I mean, why not? But
I agree, though. They need to have to wrestle in the tournament.
Yeah.
Take your whole team too.
Yeah. Well, don't have a tournament called it the Soldiers Salute and then have your two guys forfeit in the finals.
Right.
Don't do that. That's all. If you can do anything else, just don't do that. Don't have a tournament and then cancel a finals match because it's your guys. Like, they came to watch the Iowa guys, so why not just let them watch them?
And it's in the state of Iowa. There's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah. But let's switch gears a little bit before we get out of here. This weekend, little high school wrestling. In the area, I saw that Hononegah is going to the Clash.
Yep. I think they're seated 4th in their bracket.
4th.
Yeah.
Okay. So are they? Does that bracket already pool itself? Do you guys know? Like, does it already get into a championship bracket, or do they have to wrestle and then it advances?
They have to wrestle.
Then they advance.
Just like the Flavin.
Okay.
You win your pool, you go here, 2nd, 3rd.
They've already got it all set up on track.
Got it. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, that'll be a great one to follow this weekend. Did you guys get to watch any of the Flavin? Did you see the Flavin or the Abe's Rumble or anything like that?
I followed on track. I didn't a little bit here and there, some matches.
Which one?
Both, actually.
Who won the Abe's?
Vandalia
beat Marion.
Yep. Like we talked about that being a situation because Vandalia is pretty good. Lot 35. Let me.
27.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
But there's some matches in there. At 120, Tennyson and the Waddle kid. That's probably a state finals match, rematch coming up.
Yeah.
And that could be, depending, all the draws.
What was the final score?
I'm looking it up specifically, but
yeah. But depending on the draw for Team State, that's
35-27
state championship duel.
Yeah, no kidding.
I know Coal City you can't take anything away. There's still tough, but
and you don't know how the draws work out for Coal City and Vandalia, who will be at,
and I think Vandalia beat Coal City at the Abe's, right?
Vandalia did in the semis, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then at the Flavin, what was, I guess the thing to watch out is the 2A teams dominated the 3A teams. So you got 2A teams, Montini and IC Catholic, and I think Washington too was pretty close to being up there, but I don't think they beat everybody.
No. And Montini, did they finish 2nd?
Yes.
Because I think they only lost to Detroit.
Detroit Catholic was 1st, Marmion was 2nd, Montini 3rd, IC Catholic 4th. In the gold pool, Washington got 1st, then Joliet Academy, and then Orland Park, then Yorkville.
Yeah.
And
I just watched IC Catholic wrestle last night on Flow
at the CCEL. Duels.
No, they're out in California. And
Oh, they went to Doc Buchanan.
No,
yeah,
they
but they
wrestled.
went
They
out
were
and
duels.
wrestled Gilroy High School,
Okay.
coached by
Daniel Cormier.
yeah, there you go. Thank you. I was drawing a blank. I was going to say Kenny Monday, but I know that wasn't right. But yeah, they wrestled them and Layton, Utah, as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I was looking. They were talking about. I mean, you talk about someone that's going to wrestle people. You know, they wrestled on New Year's Eve. They wrestled that CCL duel where they wrestled, I think,
Marmion,
Montini,
Montini. Yeah.
Montini, Marmion, and maybe Mount Carmel that day.
Yep.
Then flew out that night, and then the next day turn around. They wrestled Gilroy, who's top 15, and Layton, who's a top 20. And then they're in the Doc Buchanan this weekend. It's like, geez, Louise.
Yeah. I mean, high school wrestlers are wrestling way more often and consistent
Yeah.
than college guys.
This is a kind of a tough weekend tournament wise with good tournaments, you know, because you got the Clash and then the Cheeseheads this weekend as well.
Yep. I just saw that.
You want some breaking news?
Uh-oh.
Notre Dame beat Georgia.
Yeah, just watched it.
Notre Dame beat Georgia.
Andrew Walters is the happiest man alive right now.
Is he a Notre Dame guy?
Oh, through and through, man.
That's too bad.
Man, I feel real bad. I said it in the very beginning of the football season that I could never imagine that they were going to be a top 10 program.
Well, when they lost to Northern, I didn't think so, but
Yeah.
it shows Northern probably could have won it all this year.
I mean, that's another example of what athletic perseverance, like the whole game of sports in general. It's like, I hear so many parents talking about losses and they get so negative and so cynical as if like the world is ending. And then you see something like this and it's like, it doesn't matter. You got to move on as quick as possible. And if you do that effectively, you can make everything better because of it. Sometimes losses are the kick in the ass that you need. Sometimes they're, it's like,
ask Ohio State.
Right.
I mean,
No kidding.
They lose their last
Oh my
season.
God, did they look good?
They lose to Michigan to end the season, and people are writing them off. And now they've just blown through two of the top teams in the nation.
And they lost to Oregon during the year too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just blew them away.
Yeah.
The game was over before halftime.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. I definitely do appreciate that aspect of sports. Is it teaches you, if you really want to have success in all sports, you teach yourself not to dwell too much, because if you do, then you'll never find the next opportunity to be, have success or, get back on the horse or whatever. So,
Going undefeated is nice. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that should be a goal, but losses, you learn so much more.
Yeah, I don't think I've never went undefeated. So
Oregon, here you are, you're undefeated, and you're in the national tournament, and you lost and you're done. There's no coming back from that now.
Yeah.
Ohio State took a L at the end of the season, probably regroup. Hey, we got to refocus, get some structure going back here. And now we're just
going to people. I totally agree.
Well, so what tournaments, what tournament will you guys be watching? I know, obviously, probably all of them, right?
Jesus. Sorry, guys.
That was me.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was my phone.
It wasn't mine.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't have on airplane mode.
Yeah, I don't know what.
I'll probably follow the Clash and the Cheesehead.
Yeah,
primarily.
I'll probably follow the Clash.
Yeah.
See how Nega does. I see the two guys aren't still. I mean, the two kids that are hurt. That's just a tough thing.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good opportunity though for them to kind of put I just did see that they, still kind of dominated the whitewater tournament, but this will give them an opportunity for dual meets to see how they can manage to
move people around.
I mean, because again, like we're talking about, if you dwell and not having those two guys in your lineup, well, then you're never going to find a way to win. But maybe this is the opportunity for those backups, those
what it's called, don't you?
To step up.
Next man in.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
And for those guys, individual tournament, they're gonna beat a lot of teams just because they got some horses and
Right.
some hammers that score a lot of points. And
There's
now
a,
they're gonna have
there's
the
a few
opportunity.
sophomores. There's a few sophomores this year that were freshmen last year that are wrestling really good though.
Well, that's usually how that goes. You go freshman to sophomore.
Who is that?
I said that's usually how it goes. You go freshman to sophomore.
No, but those kids as freshmen were kind of getting hammered, and they're winning matches.
Yeah, they're definitely. I mean, again, we've talked about this a lot, but just the culture, the group of people that are leading the rest. I think, you know, if you're an underclassman, if you're you know, just getting started at Hononegah in the high school program, you're in a great environment to be better than, you know, most, which is another thing that we could talk about at another time about how important it is to have that type of. I mean, how important it is to have a positive winning culture, right? It's something that helps everybody kind of grow and become better. The standard is high when you have, you know, state champions and state medalists as freshmen, and they're trying to win national events and stuff. So it's pretty helpful.
Yep.
But all right, guys. Well, if you have anything else, let me know. Otherwise, good to talk to you guys, and good catching up.
All right, sounds good. Happy New Year.